Hey everybody, welcome to my Perilous Moons guide. I just want to go over a few things before we get started. The fastest way to get here, after completing the Twilight's Promise quest, is going to be building the Quetzal transportation system that's right outside the doors to this area. Secondly, the Perilous Moons quest, of course you need to complete that quest before you are able to start farming this new mini-game efficiently. The quest is kind of a run through of how all this works. A few other things I want to go over real quick is some level requirements, which would be 38 Herbalore, 20 Fishing, and 20 Hunter. The Hunter is not entirely required, but if you want it for a food source, it's great. A few other things I wanted to touch base with real quick is that 93 Herbalore, which is my current Herbalore status, the potions that you make are made into 4 doses. My friend at the time of recording this was 79 Herbalore, and his potions made 2 doses with the chance of having a 3 dose cooked from time to time. Another thing I want to point out, 30 cooking for the fish and the lizards is a really nice thing to have. And with 99 cooking, which is my cooking, it cooks 2 of the fish and lizard tails at a time, which is great. Another thing I want to dive into here for just a moment as well is that with 75 Hunter, you were able to catch the moths with the butterfly net. And with 85 Hunter, you're able to catch them barehanded, and these moths restore your prayer. And because of the free prayer, another thing that I would highly recommend bringing is Thralls, which I will show you here in my inventory in just a moment. I did bring some Thrall runes. They do speed up the kills with those extra hits from time to time, and they seem to hit pretty high regularly. With that being said, we're going to slowly go over here of my prep and how I go through preparing for all the kills, coming in with no supplies. And that's why I drained my prayer before coming in. It was just a quick demonstration of how you can regenerate your prayer without always having to use the potions. Once we go through this passage here, the first thing I'm just going to show you real fast is how you can regenerate your prayer catching these moths. And I know I have them highlighted. They look really goofy, but I think it's kind of funny. And it just makes it easier to click on some of them because not all of them are catchable. So you can see currently, I am 91 Hunter and 99 Prayer. I'm getting 22 prayer points per moth that I am catching. Secondly, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run on over to the encampment up here. And I know I'm just a little bit slow on it, but this is just my preferred way to do it. I find this way to be just a little bit easier. I also swapped my left click option on the cooking range here. As you can see, it is to, what is it, make a cuppa? There we go. And the right click option is the cook, just because it's easier for me later on to left click this and go easily. Now we're going to start grabbing some fishing supplies, some hunting supplies, and some herbalore supplies. If you choose to fish, you do want that fishing net. It is useful on the bridge here. Another thing I'm going to note here, as you can see, I'm currently dropping some vials of water. I tend to like to make 6 potions every time I start my runs. And once you have 2 in your inventory, it doesn't let you grab anymore. So I just take a step over to the side when other folks drop their items there, and it makes it easier for me to start doing some of my prep. Next here, I'm going to start collecting 6 grubby saplings, and we'll grind those up with the pestle and mortar here. Once these are all ground up, we'll combine them to make the potions here. And these potions act as a divine super combat, strength, defense, as well as they restore prayer. But I tend to, again, as I said before, I tend to stick to the moths for my prayer restoration. Another thing I want to note here is once you start fishing, you have to click exit to stop fishing here. Otherwise, your character's going to do some goofy things whenever you look over and you try to cook over there or go to restore your run. As you'll see here in a second, my character's just going to start fishing through the dock, and it will throw you off just a little bit. This is the only known instance that I'm aware of currently in the game that you actually have to click on the fishing spot to leave it. So I'm going to start cooking my food here. These food for me, I've noticed, tend to heal about 30 hit points if I can do my math correctly in my head. So they're a pretty strong food. As for the lizards are after the first boss, which is the Eclipse boss, which again, weak to stab here. I like to use my Fang. Other things you can use, of course, Abyssal Dagger, Zamorakian Spear. You've got some options to pick through here, but personally, I went with the Fang. I am a maxed combat player. So we'll get started here. So it's safe to be on the circles that are highlighted blue. If you can see that blue ring below me, you're going to start stabbing. This is one of two specials here. This special will drag you into the boss, and you need to yellow click below them. Do not panic if you don't red click them. Now granted, of course, at the time of me trying to record this, I was trying to commentate and do this at the same time, and it wasn't going so well. As you can see, I took a few hits, as this is the first guide I've ever made. So he's going to keep doing this for a few attack cycles, and you just sit there and you keep clicking below him. If you are a tick too slow, you do take the hit there, and it's nothing too strong, but you can pray against it, or you don't have to. So once he's done, it'll spawn here on the northeastern corner, and it seems to be the trend for all the rooms. Wasn't potted up, so we're just going to ignore that for a second. We're just going to keep doing some damage to the boss. Summoning thralls, again, great for that, just to speed up the kills just ever so slightly. And again, this is free supplies here. You are not using anything. Treat this like it's Chambers of Xerix. If you've ever done it, you can make your own supplies, and it doesn't cost you a dime. For this next special, you need to stay behind the sphere here, and it'll go around the room 4 times. And the last time, it'll free up on one of the circles, and it'll highlight with the blue rim, of course. Once it does that, you go right back to killing the boss. If you are on the other phase where you have to click underneath him 3 times when 3 of them appear, if he gets down to 1 HP, it won't send you to the next room. You will be stuck in here until he is free and able to do this, not during his special attacks. So the people he spawns, or the clones of himself that you have to click under, and that sphere are some of his special attacks. So moving on here, we are now out of the room. We're going to be able to restore my stamina here, and then we're going to be able to click some of these moths, and if you can see, we're restoring my prayers. So now I have full prayer points. Once again, I'll eat up with some of the supplies that I got with. And real quick, just to show you, this is how you trap the lizards. And it did take me a second to remember, because during the quest you had a knife, so I thought you had to cut the tails off, and realized I didn't have a knife for a moment. Don't panic, it works just a little bit differently here. Once you click all your lizards, you're just going to run over to their range, and each lizard provides you with 2 pieces of food, which my friend and I, thank you Soul, seems to heal about 27 hit points. We are not entirely sure, and especially myself, because I had never personally used these. But one lizard gives 2 food, whereas when you catch the fish, you only catch 1 at a time. So we're going to move on to the next room here. This next room is the Blue Moon. This one is weak to crush. I personally use my Elder Maul. I was using a scythe for the slash and crush options, but just the money here is not too great at the time of making this video, so I decided Elder Maul was my next best guess. And it seems to work pretty well for me. My kill times are about the same. I use claws in this room specifically for the special attack. I just don't like this room at all. It's my least favorite of them all. I hate running around during some of the phases. So next thing we'll do is we'll step on here momentarily, and we'll get on the boss here. So this is one of the specials where, don't panic, your weapon's gone, it's not in your inventory, it's not in your character's hands. It looks a little weird, and it threw me off during the quest, and I thought if I died, my item was going to be stuck underneath this piece of ice that you currently see me kicking. Don't fear, it's there, it's in your hands. You just have to keep kicking that ice until you can get your weapon back. Other folks from what I noticed, sometimes struggle a little bit to get those kicks in. Thralls help speed up freeing your weapon. Again, northeast corner here. You'll start here, and it goes around to 2 tiles on the side. I typically tend to dump my specs, and usually dumping both my claw specs and going in with the Elder Maul tends to send me right out of the room instantly. This time I had to slow it down just so I could get the other special in here. Personally, I like to think of this one as the Winter Tot Braziers, and the Akka from TOA Cum Phase. I tend to call these Cumnados, which is kind of what they remind me of. If you do get hit by some, which I do demonstrate, they do a range of damage. I've noticed I've been hit for 5s, I've noticed I've been hit for 8s, and they turn off your run energy. It's not necessary to pray in here, I'm just lazy and don't want to turn it off since the supplies, again, are free. That is a big thing I'm going to throw out here as the Barrows 2.0. This is the best thing I can equate it to. Once done, during that phase, you'll go to the southwestern tile, currently where I am standing. And you were able to mark these tiles and do whatever. Once you're done, you're going to get teleported out. You're going to make a cup of, get your tea, get your stamina back up. And again, you are able to collect more moths here, restore your prayer. Don't worry about sipping your potions. The potions last you 5 minutes. The next one, and the final one, is the Blood Moon. This one is weak to slash, and I tend to notice that this one seems to get the most people killed every time I've been in the room when I was helping some of my clanmates and other folks through it. This one just has some odd mechanics to it. One of them I can tie into P2 Versic from Theater of Blood, where you kind of do a scythe walk, but it doesn't take the same speed of that 4 or 5 tick cycle. So we'll step on in here and we'll get started. Summon our Thrall, start attacking the boss. Again, I used the Blade of Saldor, did not think the money per hour was great, so I just stuck with the blade. During this phase, you're going to see all these little blood circles spawn and disappear. If you stand on them, you take damage and heal the boss. Another thing to note about this room is if you eat during the normal fight, like right here, you can, or actually you will, heal up the boss. So the second you click a piece of food, it's going to heal the boss. You need to eat only during the specials, which is like that little, floor navigation, like the little tiles, you gotta dodge them. Or during the other one here, which is with the Blood Panthers. With the Blood Panthers, this is where that scythe walking comes into play. You need to find the one that's got the blue circle below it and that blue square. When you see those circles fill up behind you, it's best to wait 1 tick and click back if you have the audio cues, which you can hear here. And in my next run where I do not commentate, you'll be able to see when I'm moving back. And again, I don't do it perfectly. I wasn't used to commentating as well as trying to do this with recording, so it's just a little bit different for me, so I'm sorry it's not perfect. Once it's done, you're going to go to the southwestern corner, keep attacking the boss. Again, summon another Thrall to help speed up my kills. And it'll move over 2 more, so now we're going to go on the west side and stay on this one. And I apologize, I seem to be clicking through a lot. I'm sure a lot of you had this same issue today. It was just very laggy with all the hit spots where the boss would kind of just disappear. So once we get the kill here in a second, we're going to be teleported out. We can get more, run energy. As you can see, I hit cook because I just recently swapped this and couldn't do it right. You're able to grab more moths on the way, or when you start your next run, you can grab some when you go through. I always tend just to do this just to go through really fast because I can grab them on my way out. And once we head south here, this will take us to the loot room, which is where we'll collect our quote-unquote Barrows chest is the best way to do it. Currently, for myself and where I am in the game, having just a few 99 left to go for, the loot here is alright. It's not anything that I would want to grind out for too much longer. The only annoying part about this currently is if somebody else clicks that chest when you were running towards it and they open it, it works for everybody, so you stop your animation. Currently, it's a good spot for some Ironman Prayer XP, a good, a supply of irrits. That's kind of it here. That's the best way I can explain this. Personally, again, first guy that I've ever made, I'm giving it my best shot, and I'm going in with the knowledge that I currently have. And as I stated previously, this is where I'd kind of grab some of my moths and heal up again before I start my next run. I typically don't go and restore my energy here because I'm not flying through it that much, but I'll just run on right to the next boss here, and that's that. And here's my no commentary run. December. So
one time. I put your clothes and your colors outside where I couldn't see. You gave your soul to another, you said no that couldn't be. But you can leave me if you want to, I'll be waiting by my bedside. Probably shouldn't speak until we heal and get our heads right. You fucked me up, I guess I did it too. I'm just a mess, I'll try my best until I'm over. You can leave me if you wanna, well we really wasted our time. Probably shouldn't speak until we heal and get our heads right. You fucked me up, I guess I did it too. I'm just a mess, I'll try my best until I'm over you. I wipe away tears, I need you right here. And I've been spending my time looking for the sunshine, looking for the chances. So just wasting my time till you're back in my room. And if you change your mind, I can give you the moon. I can't sleep, I'll be waiting till you're walking the door. And if you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. I'm just wasting my time, want you out of my head. At the same damn time, want you out of my bed again. I won't sleep till you walk in the door. And if you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. Lately I've been feeling like I'm swinging for the fences. Put me in, I bet I make you come into your senses. Wishing it was 2018. You were crazy about me and it was crazy how stupid I can really be. You didn't need to prove that you were in love with me. I didn't mean to lose you, didn't mean to make you sad. I know I can't change the past, so now I just waste my time till you're back in my room. And if you change your mind, I can give you the moon. I can't sleep, I'll be waiting till you walk in the door. And if you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. I'm just wasting my time, want you out of my head. At the same damn time, want you right in my head. I won't sleep till you walk in the door. If you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. I'm not afraid that I'll fade away. My white flag is raised, but I curse your name. The sunsets don't hit the same. And we share sheets, that's how it goes. Did he mean as much as me? I don't think so. We were looking for some peace with no clothes. And I'm pulling my teeth out pretty slow. Now I just waste my time till you're back in my room. And if you change your mind, I can give you a moon. I can't sleep, I'll be waiting till you walk in the door. If you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. I'm just wasting my time, want you out of my head. At the same damn time, want you right in my bed again. I won't sleep till you walk in the door. And if you need me, I'll be laying face down on the floor. Change your choke on his dick. I hope you never be shit. And every time you fall in love, they tell you no, we're just friends. I hope you trip on a curb and make you fall in the dirt. And every time you think of me, I make you sad and it hurts. I hope your clothes never dry. I hope your plans always die. And every time you do, you make up, it goes into your eyes. I hope you step on a tack and you get lost with no map. And you come looking for me, but you never know where I'm at. Wow, I can barely put my phone down. I'm just waiting for a call or something, calm down. I guess the roles are reversed, my jealousy's on a verse. You put my heart in a hearse, I'm really going down. I guess I'ma move to the beach or somewhere sunny with the breeze. Could've been you and me, 'cause you...
So I'm going to attempt to do a setup with this gear. I was trying to think of some low tier gear I have, and I just didn't happen to have a Dragon Defender in my bank, so I'm going with the anti-dragon shield for this for the time being. But for my stab weapon, I'm just going to use a Dragon Scimitar, because, you know, Dragon Sword's kind of rare to get unless you're actively farming for it, then best of luck. But I'm just going with, you know, what most people might have, which would be, after completing Monkey Madness, Dragon Scimitar, Dragon Dagger, of course, and then I'm going to use the Zombie Axe for both my Crush and Slash options. And I will be right back with a no commentary kill in just a moment. Well, there you had it. There was my attempt at a budget gear setup, and I'm sure it doesn't help that my combo stats are maxed out, but if I had a separate account to do all the testing on this, or I could have had somebody to help me out at the time of recording this, Soul, I know you had offered, but I stayed up pretty late to record this, and thank you again for offering. Of course, I am very glad to have been able to share some of the knowledge that I've had. I've enjoyed teaching some of my clan mates and friends how to do this, and I'm hoping that a few of you can take some of the advice that I give you all and get some better clears in, speed up your run times, start getting the new items, especially for those Iron Men out there who may want the new Barrows 2.0 armor that they have just added with the Valamore expansion. I do want to give out a shout out, and I'm sorry I wasn't recording at the time. The RSN is SR Space Q. I'm sorry I wasn't recording when you said I hope I'm in the video, but I figured I'd throw you in here as well. I would like to thank my friends who helped make this possible, the Kill Hill and Who Got Dubs. Thank you all for the suggestions on some of the gear and the gear loans for the low tier setup. I apologize I did not have a defender. Again, I just don't own one. I have no Vernic. I don't know why I would have a Dragon Defender sitting around in my bank. I appreciate everyone watching. If you would like to watch me on Twitch, my Twitch is the same as my RSN, which is Crawlicious. You should be able to find me there, and you can find plenty of my other links attached there, and so on and so forth. If there is anything you'd like to add or any things that I missed in this, feel free to comment that down below. I appreciate everyone's support in my efforts here. Thank you.